Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from Yellowcat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet, and let's get started. The most memorable fire me I frickin' dare you work moment you've ever had, part 4. A job I had was in tech support. They tried to get us to join a sales program. Before it was widely used, some people were worried that if we didn't meet sales goals, our jobs might be in danger. He strongly denied this. People could get in touch with tech support by phone, live chat, or email. During my time there, I worked on all 3 teams. On the phone and in live chats, sales chances would naturally arise, but not so much through email. I was part of the email team at the time of this conversation. Along with the assistant manager, our boss was talking about our sales numbers and how they compared to the rest of the department. The assistant manager didn't know why our sales numbers were the worst of all of them. In our team chat, our supervisor brought this up and asked for feedback on why it seems like some of us don't even try, what problems we face, etc. We were honest with him because we had a good relationship with him and felt comfortable talking about it. I said something like, they have 8 hours from the time we click the button in their accounts to say we recommend this product to them to sign in and buy it. If they don't, we don't get credit for the sale. And because these sales pitches are sent to them by email, we know they quickly skip over them in a search of specific answers to their very specific question. Tickets don't have, let's talk while I wait for this process. We answer their questions, but they never answer back. We try to sell something in emails, but they don't see them until the next day. By then, our 8-hour credit window is passed, and we don't get the credit. Or they don't care about it until Monday. Either that, or they get mad that we're trying to make a sale when they called us because something broke and they need help fixing it. Plus, it was annoying that they had rules like minimum sale of $500 before we could get a commission check. Our supervisor sent our comments to the assistant manager. He didn't leave our names out on purpose, but he also didn't think assistant manager would call us out on it. As I explain why a tech support worker doesn't want to waste time doing sales, the assistant manager sends me a chat message arguing that I should try anyway, even though we have more problems than usual. He was just arguing with me and trying to get me to defend myself during his little pep talk. Assistant manager, if you're really against getting paid for a sale, I can change your commission window from 8 hours to 0 hours instead. Me, sure, go ahead. I mean, I've never gotten a commission check before. He wasn't able to get what he wanted from his threat. I was also very pregnant and planned to quit before giving birth, so it didn't matter to me if he fired me by then. There are a few of these that I have. Let's start with when I worked at Steak and Suck when I was 19. Tell my boss that you can have strep throat because he wants me to come in. I'm not making everyone sick, I thought. This crap spreads easily. He threatens my work. Fire me for having strep. Go for it. He says, I'm firing you for making S up and refusing to come in. Who do you think you are? As I left, I asked Patrick, who the F do you think you are? I'm deprecated effing 0. I have goals. You're 45 and running a Steak and Suck is your biggest accomplishment. I'm gonna call the Board of Health and show up. Closed. They called the BOH and said they had workers with known communicable diseases. Then they went inside. Of course, I was fired right away. Oh no! Patrick, you're joking. Some of my dreams have come true, you dead-end C. At another time, worked as tech support. This happened when I was 28 years old. After graduating from college, I quietly looked for a job. I wasn't in a hurry, though, because I had a stable job in IT that I had been at for 7 years. Yes, this was one of those support farms. If you work in IT, you know the kind. No one works for the company they're helping. It's all contracted work, and agents usually help more than one client. I had worked for 4 years on one client whom I hated very much. Because they moved me to a different account before I graduated, they took me off the old one. I would have been out the door in a month. He tells me, 0, we need to put you back on client. I say to him, all right, I'll be happy to do that for a couple of weeks, but I'm not staying on client. He says, no, we need to move you back there permanently. Okay, well, I'm not okay with that, I say. His words are, "It's not a choice." "No, you're right, and I'll be happy to do it for 2 weeks, I answer. After a moment of confusion, he says again, "No, we're adding you back to the account, not just for 2 weeks. I knew he understood what I meant when I told him, if you move me back on that account, then 2 weeks from the day you confirm it to me is my last day. In 45 minutes, I was kicked out for insubordination, which worked effing great when they tried to deny my unemployment claim and I told them they were being mean to me because I told them I'd quit if they changed my job function in a way I didn't like. I had a lot of time to find a job in my field. And the ending of my first programming job was also a 2-part glorious story. To cut a long story short, when my company decided to fire everyone on my team and let me look for jobs paying less than what I was making before, I set a salary requirement that they thought was crazy. They couldn't understand that I was happy to walk away with their 4 weeks of paid leave. I didn't talk about it in that post because it's not important, but it fits with this question. I had a "what are you gonna do, fire me" moment in front of the whole company. We're having a webcast for the whole company to talk about getting a new client. The Chief Information Officer, CIO, is talking about how our systems will be changed to make rooms for them and give their traffic more weight. He adds, we can have 0 downtime because the moment we time out to their system, they'll drop us for that day and move everything over to another provider. So we're going to limit the throughput of other clients and make sure they have a dedicated lane. 2 things come to mind. 1, that's a bad way to treat all your other customers, and 2, this goes against everything I believe in about net neutrality. When it's time for the Q&A, I stand right in front of the camera, raise my hand, and am the first person chosen to ask a question. I ask, who thought this was a good business decision and who signed off on it, while leaning over the shared mic in the middle of the table, which is one of those old-fashioned business phones. Oh, they were peed. Even so, I didn't get fired. I had about a week and a day left, and they didn't want to give me a reason to take more than my severance pay. What unpleasant situations have you dealt with in your HOA or with S Neighbors, Part 4? My HOA is terrible. They don't want election rules, won't take responsibility for giving false financial information, and they gave a crook a raise instead of firing him. At the last meeting, they talked about giving people fines for leaving things under their storage boxes instead of inside them. It's important to note that the HOA has not fixed the leaks inside the storage boxes for more than 3 years. I'm usually calm, but this HOA is making me so mad that my blood is boiling. I lost it. I went crazy, which is why I choose to clean up the lot. First, I went to where the contractor had left their trash, which was the broken parts of a fountain that had been taken down more than 2 years ago. I got the musty towel that a former board member leaves for himself when he goes swimming because he doesn't want other people to use the spa. Throw it away. I got pieces of planters. The sliding door that had been leaning against the building for a whole year was taken by me. I took the bags that were left for someone else to take and walked to Goodwill. It was the worst thing I could have done. I went under the stairs and into the common area where the president keeps her things that don't fit in the condo anymore. I knew it was hers, but I was going to act like it was trash. She put plastic containers in trash bags and then ate a salad from the store, washed the container, and kept it. She had broken glass and foam for going under the carpet. I got everything. I went to the room with the elevator. I took down the passive-aggressive rules that the previous board had left in the hallway, which covered the whole bulletin board. They had rules that were written on plastic, but had been there for so long that they'd worn off. They wouldn't let anyone else post. I took it all apart. Threw it all away. Felt great. After that, she lost it and sent me an email with the subject line, "Cease and desist from placing junk in front of complex." It says that I called the association's trash company while I was gathering personal items. Anyway, find it funny. I know that they won't be happy with me and I lost political power, but F HOA. What a con. Fortunately, I've never lived in a community with HOA rules, but this brought up memories of disagreements with a neighbor. Our little 1-acre home is situated in a relatively rural area surrounded by some wooded lots, and our neighbors have enough land to keep us separate from their houses. The person who inherited the wooded lot next to us lives out of town and won't sell despite my dad's years-long attempts to purchase it. Over the last few years, he has finally made the decision to take action. He came over to say that he was considering putting a house on it. And before he did so, he planned on us cleaning up the yard, getting rid of some items in the backyard that he doesn't like looking at, a couple of trailers and such, and building a real garage instead of the carports we have now. He continued by saying that he had seen our ATV and warned us not to even consider riding it on his land or he would have us arrested for trespassing. He then chose to set up a campsite and camp directly on our property line closest to the house, complaining that we were returning home late on the weekends while he was sleeping over there. It's only an additional acre or so. There's absolutely no desire to take the ATV over there. My dad used to own a hot rod 1957 Chevy, and I have a Mustang with loud pipes. We usually act civilly around them, but this guy went out of his way to tell us that this isn't a drag strip, and that no drag strip style antics were occurring while he was there. The next time he camped there, I got up extra early on a Saturday morning to tune the car a little in the driveway and open the head cutouts. The car no longer had functional mufflers. He didn't say anything, but I think I accidentally upset the neighbor in the adjacent lot because Sunday morning he decided to make the pickup that sat in his yard forever, apparently without mufflers, run for the first time in years, effectively awakening the jerk neighbor that day with a loud car coming from a different direction. Since then, he hasn't come over to bother us or camped out very often. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a story. My homeowners association is located in a small suburban area of Florida, and it's managed by a proxy company that's owned by yet another business. These companies, which we'll discuss later, primarily function as absentee landlords. The association was led by two individuals who didn't seem like sociopaths at all, despite living in the most luxurious homes in the neighborhood. Whoa, we were mistaken. First things first. Oh, your grass is an inch too high, or oh, your mailbox isn't sighing regulations, are minor infractions with not too serious consequences. But in a matter of weeks, this trend quickly gained momentum to the point where many residents of the neighborhood began to receive letters outlining fictitious or incredibly small issues with their properties that needed to be fixed within the next few weeks, failing which they would face fines ranging from $200 to $1,000. As one might expect, the neighborhood was incensed and promptly called another election to choose the association's chairman, or whatever the real title is. A lot of absentee ballots were sent in from homes throughout the neighborhood in support of the current chairman under the names of the residents of those houses, which was a troubling development that exposed the leader's true colors. Many of the previously mentioned individuals did, however, attend the election and protest the casting of their ballots, but in vain. Many neighborhood residents tried contacting the association's parent company, which did not reply to any of the solicitations in an effort to get an explanation from a higher authority than themselves. After losing that battle, the neighborhood decided to try to remove the current leadership by holding as many elections as they could. However, anyone who is known to support the opposition would suffer from slashed tires and horrific character assassinations to differing degrees. The most common illustration from the extent to which the leadership went was a man who someone in the neighborhood went to an election and voted against the leadership. The next day, the leadership sent a letter to the resident's commanding officer, he was in the military, calling him names like drunk, troublemaker, general jerk, and so on. Despite the fact that many people in the neighborhood installed surveillance cameras all over their property in response to the numerous attacks that were carried out against their property and even against their person, the leadership of the neighborhood continued to carry out acts of terrorism against the rest of the community. After all was said and done, one of the leaders of a minor uprising in the neighborhood sought the counsel of an attorney and filed a lawsuit against the leadership on a variety of charges. This led to a protracted and challenging legal battle, but the outcome was well worth it. Each and every one of those HOA officials received punishment. They were required to pay very substantial fines for all of the damage they caused. In the end, the neighborhood was successful in evicting them, not only from their positions in the HOA, but also from their own homes when they were forced out. The new management is significantly more effective at enforcing the ties, and they do not carry out the same errors that were made by the previous management. If you want to watch the part 3, click the link here. Very, very glad to see you all in the comments. Many thanks for your support.